Shadow was a German shepherd with jet black fur as dark as the night and eyes that sparkled like stars. He was more than just a dog. He was a soul devoted to his owner, a cherished member of the family, and a loyal friend. His owner, Ahmed, had found Shadow as a puppy, abandoned on the streets. From the very beginning, a strong bond formed between them. Ahmed lived on a small farm. Shadow would work the fields with him in the mornings and lie by his side on the veranda in the evenings. Ahmed's life was brighter because of Shadow's unwavering loyalty. But everything changed when a police operation arrived in town. One night, a group of officers suddenly appeared at Ahmed's home. They were accompanied by a team specializing in canine training and seizure. Ahmed, confused and alarmed, learned that a new regulation allowed authorities to confiscate certain breeds of dogs deemed suitable for police work. Shadow was identified as one such dog. Despite Ahmed's desperate protests and pleas, the officers were firm. Shadow was taken away by force. As Ahmed yelled in anguish, Shadow barked and struggled to reach his owner, but strong hands placed him into a cage. His cries echoed as the police vehicle drove away, leaving Ahmed standing alone, heartbroken. Shadow was transported to a police training facility far from his home. There, he and other dogs were subjected to rigorous training programs. But Shadow's heart remained with Ahmed. He refused to eat, grew agitated during training, and howled toward the horizon every night. The trainers struggled with him. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't fully earn his trust. Months passed. Shadow eventually completed the program and became a police dog. He was sent on missions, participating in drug raids and search and rescue operations. He excelled in every task, but no achievement could fill the emptiness inside him. Every evening, when he returned to his kennel, he would recall the days he spent on the farm with Ahmed. One day, Shadow's unit was called to a mission in the very town where Ahmed lived. As the police vehicle entered the town, familiar scents surrounded Shadow. When the vehicle stopped near a field, Shadow felt something stir deep inside him. The surroundings felt familiar, yet he reminded himself that he was on duty and couldn't give in to his emotions. Then, a voice called out from the distance, "Shadow!" It was Ahmed's voice, the voice Shadow had yearned to hear for years. For a moment, Shadow hesitated, but then he broke free from his leash and sprinted toward the sound. Ahmed stood there, tears streaming down his face as he saw the grown, strong dog running toward him. Shadow leaped into his arms, and the two embraced, refusing to let go. The police officers were initially angry that Shadow had abandoned his duties, but even they couldn't deny the powerful bond between the dog and his owner. The team leader, moved by the reunion, decided to retire Shadow from police service and allowed him to return to Ahmed. From that day on, Shadow lived a peaceful life on the farm. The experiences he gained as a police dog had taught him resilience, but his greatest triumph was holding on to his love and loyalty despite the separation. Max was born on a chilly autumn night in an abandoned lot at the edge of a small town. His mother, Bella, had lived on the streets her entire life, surviving on scraps and the kindness of strangers. Despite the hardships, Bella had a heart full of love for her pups. Max, the smallest of the litter, stood out with his fluffy golden fur and bright, curious eyes. From the moment he opened them, Max seemed to radiate an innocence and joy that warmed Bella's heart. Life, however, was not kind to stray dogs. Bella struggled to find food for her growing pups. Max and his siblings would huddle close to their mother each night, their tiny bodies trembling in the cold. Still, Max's playful spirit never faltered. He would pounce on leaves, chase after shadows, and wag his tail at every passerby, as if trying to convince the world that he deserved to be loved. One day, a family walking near the lot noticed Max. Their young daughter, Emily, immediately knelt down and held out her hand. Max, trusting and eager, ran to her, licking her fingers with unrestrained joy. Emily's parents couldn't resist his charm, and before long, Max was in their arms, heading to his new home. For the first time in his life, Max experienced warmth and security. Emily became his best friend, and the two were inseparable. They played in the garden, cuddled on the couch, and even slept side by side. Max adored Emily and her family, showering them with unconditional love. He thought he had found his forever home, but life has a way of testing even the purest hearts. A year later, Emily's father lost his job, and the family faced financial difficulties. They had to move to a smaller apartment where pets weren't allowed. Tearfully, Emily hugged Max and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Before her parents took him to the local animal shelter, Max didn't understand why he was being left behind. He watched the only family he had ever known walk away, his tail wagging slower with each step they took. The shelter was a noisy, crowded place filled with frightened animals. Max's days of playing in the sun were replaced by cold concrete floors and the sound of desperate barking. Despite his new reality, Max remained hopeful. Each time a visitor came to the shelter, he would wag his tail and look up with pleading eyes as if saying, "Pick me, I'll love you forever." But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Max's once bright eyes began to dull, and the constant rejection took its toll on his spirit. One fateful day, the shelter announced they were at capacity. Some dogs, including Max, were placed on a list for euthanasia. The staff, heartbroken, couldn't find a way to save every animal. That night, a young volunteer named Sarah sat by Max's kennel. She stroked his head, tears streaming down her face. "You're such a good boy, Max. I wish the world could see that," she whispered. The next morning, as the shelter prepared for the grim task, a man named Tom walked in. He was a farmer who had recently lost his old dog and was looking for a companion. As he passed by the kennels, Max's tired eyes met his. There was something in Max's gaze that stopped Tom in his tracks, a quiet plea, a spark of hope buried beneath the sadness. "I'll take him," Tom said firmly. Max's life changed once again. Tom's farm was vast, with rolling fields and a gentle creek. Max quickly adapted to his new home, running freely through the open spaces and helping Tom with small chores. Most importantly, he felt loved and needed again. Years passed, and Max grew older, his muzzle turning gray. But his spirit remained as joyful as ever. He had found his place in the world, a place where he was cherished and safe. Max's story is a testament to resilience and the power of kindness. It reminds us that even the most innocent souls can endure heartbreak, yet still find a way to trust and love again. In the end, Max's unwavering hope brought him the happiness he always deserved.